ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. In the last class, we began the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā. That was the 210th class in this series on the Gita. And this morning in India, on Wednesday, December 25, we continue and take up the third verse, for we covered the first two verses in the last class. As we saw, the second bunch of 6 chapters in the Gita, namely 7th chapter through the 12th, are especially devoted to help us understand the glory, the greatness of God, the God principle. There is the individual, you and me, Jiva. There is the God principle, Ishvara, and the very well-known Mahavakya, Tattvam Asi, shows to us an unbelievable truth that in the ultimate understanding, Jiva and Ishvara are one. It is one Brahman that is appearing as God, the ruler, the Jiva, the ruled, and the stage for this play to go on, the Jagat. Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara are three manifestations of one truth. This one truth is the crux of the matter in Advaita Vedanta. Ishvaro Gururatmeti. Elsewhere in the Invokina-murti Stotra, the three which are declared as actually one are Ishvara, Jiva, and Guru. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara, Jiva, Guru, and Ishvara. In either way, you arrive at the understanding of absolute oneness of all that exists. So here we are in the 10th chapter, and as I said already, we saw how in this chapter of 42 verses, Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself opens it, saying to Arjuna, O mighty armed, listen to me. You are very dear to me, and I shall tell you the open secrets of the spiritual science. That's how the first verse began, Shranu me paramam vacha. And in the second verse, Sri Krishna said, even the residents of the heavens, called Suragana, or the great sages, Maharshaya, in a verse that is coming up, Maharshayaha again are referred to with a number. Maharshayaha Sapta Purve, it is said. The great sages, Bhragu and others, and neither of them, neither the gods in the heavens nor the rishis who are so eminent, know me. Everyone veiled by Maya are unable to see God as He is. And Bhagavan himself declares, Aham Adirhi Devana Maharshinancha Sarvasha. I am much before all of them even came into being, and I remain even when all of them vanish. In this way, every shloka here helps us understand God way beyond ordinary knowledge of God that is prevalent everywhere. Now we take up the third. In fact, the third verse again is describing God in some more details or some more detail. And that shloka, let us read the third shloka. Yo mam ajam anadincha vetti lokamaheshwaram asammuda samartyeshu sarvapapaihi pramuchyate. It's very typical of the Shastras to periodically mention the great benefits of this knowledge. Whoever, yo means whoever knows me, says Sri Krishna, to be unborn, having no beginning whatsoever, and whoever knows me as the supreme ruler of this entire loka, such a lady or man, being free from all confusion and delusion, martyeshu, among human beings, very rare to find such a illumined being, but there do exist. There were, there are, and there will be those who have this right understanding of God. Sarva papaihi pramuchyate, will be completely freed from all sins. Their mind will be totally free from the burden of, oh, I did not do what had to be done. Oh, I did what I should not have done. The so-called sins of commission and omission. No, none of them. Upanishads and Gita walk hand in hand in such topics. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Kimahagam sadhu nakaravam. Oh, did I not do what I should have done? Some good things? Oh, we sometimes get agitated. Thinking of our lapses, thinking of our omissions. And some other time, Kimaham papamakaram. Oh, did I do something which was sinful, which should not have been done? Broadly speaking, on the plane of dharma, it is always about doing what needs to be done and not doing what ought not to be done. But human beings that we are fall and fail in both the domains. Very often we do what should not have been done at all. Very often we just don't attend to what has to be done. So, sarva papai pramuchyate. Doesn't matter. Ekagam hava natpati kimahagam sadhuna karavam kimaham papa makaravamiti, says Brahmanandavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad. That is reflected here in Sri Krishna's words, Sarva papai pramuchyate. Adi Shankaracharya explained this in simple words. Kincha yo mam ajam anadincha. There are two adjectives used by God for himself. I am aja, unborn, anadi, beginningless. Shankaracharya says, Yasmadaham adihi devanam maharshinancha na mama anyaha adihi vidyate ataham ajaha anadishcha. I came much before gods and great sages. No one else came before me. No one else precedes me. And therefore, I am both unborn and beginningless. He hastens to clarify when it is said, there is no beginning at all for me. When did you come into being? It's a wrong question with regard to God. He hastens to add this anaditvam, being beginningless, is the basis, is the cause, or is what makes it possible to say God is unborn. Anaditvam ajatve hetuhu, says Bhagavan Bhāshyakara. Tammam ajam anadincha yaha vetti vijanati. Whoever thus does not have a superficial understanding of God, but possesses a deep appreciation of God's limitless glory, yaha evam vijanati, and loka maheshwaram, whoever knows God to be the supreme ruler, Maha Ishvara, Mahan cha asau Ishvarascha. He is supreme, he is the ruler, he is the supreme ruler, and Loka Maheshwara. Take Loka in plural. There are so many Lokas. Our earth is not the only domain where living beings exist. Visible to human eyes or invisible to human eyes, there are Lokas and denizens of those Lokas. Therefore, it is said, whoever knows me, number one, unborn. Number two, beginningless. Number three, the supreme ruler of all the worlds. Lokanam Mahantam Ishwaram Turiyam. Going by the language of the Mandukya Upanishad, it is called Turiyam. It is not just the shining principle of waking state, dream state, or deep sleep state. It is actually all of them, and yet above all of them. Ajnana tatkarya varjitam. Ajnana, ignorance, and tatkarya, various consequences of erroneous perception. Neither of these, the basic erroneous perception called avidya and countless ways in which we pay for our erroneous perception, this is called tatkarya. It's free from all this. When someone appreciates God on that plane, asammudam, asammudaha, sammoha varjitaha, your mighty scholars are under various delusions. Sammoha varjitaha, saha martyeshu, manushyeshu, sarva papaihi, such a human being having a very deep and extremely clear grasp of who this God is, what his greatness is, and so on. Sarva papaihi. Shankaracharya adds two explanatory words. Mati purvakaihi, amati purvakaihi. Mati purva, amati purva, kritaihi. Sometimes we commit certain wrongs, mati purvaka, knowing well. Our mind says to us, hey, you should not do this. But we just go ahead and do it. And some other time we don't know. We go, do it, and later we may realize, oh, I should not have done this work, this act. Therefore, knowingly or unknowingly, many sins are committed by us, And this deep understanding of God, which automatically, which naturally leads to surrender, frees us from all those sins done knowingly or performed unknowingly. Thus, the third verse calls Sri Krishna as the supreme ruler, Loka Maheshwara, and therefore the general understanding of God in you and me gets further reinforced, taken to greater depth. Now, the fourth verse, in fact, fourth and fifth we may take together. There are some 20 factors which are described as coming from God and God only. God is the source of everything. What is beautiful and what is ugly in our eyes, that's limitation of our eyes. As we rise in consciousness, everything is Satyam Shivam Sundaram, but otherwise we divide. Certain things we like, certain things we dislike, all that happens. Shankaracharya holds our hand and leads us forward. While introducing fourth and fifth, he says, Itascha aham maheshwaraha lokanam. This way also you must realize, I am the ruler of entire universe, whatever there exists. Earlier it was said I am unborn, I am beginningless, and therefore whoever came later came from me. Now, from another angle of view, these factors, all of them internal to us, they are states of mind, they are values that we possess. They have a bearing on our behavioral patterns. These also emerge from me, says Sri Krishna. Some 13 factors in the fourth verse and another 7 factors in the fifth verse together are said to arise from God. Today around the world, a lot of people appreciate and follow Advaita Vedanta, and especially a whole lot of foreigners who may not know Sanskrit much, who may not know Indian languages, very soon they gravitate towards a deep appreciation of consciousness. Teachers like Rupert Spira have talked so much about consciousness. And for them, consciousness, pure consciousness is the truth. And all else are actually of questionable reality. If we take everything else to be real, we come down and down on the spiral, on the scale of evolution. So, what we are now going to read out are factors that are inferior to consciousness but that have their source in consciousness. Buddhir-jnanam asammohaha kshama satyam dama shamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavaha bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushtihi तपोदानं यशो अयशः भवन्ति भावाः भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः. A powerful pair of slokas where Bhagavan Sri Krishna shows that a wide range of feelings, emotions, thoughts, outlooks, opinions, our positions with respect to things, people, all of them are a play of consciousness. Sri Krishna himself is the supreme Chaitanya Murti. He is pure Satchit Ananda. So, in the expression Satchit Ananda, you have Chit referring to pure consciousness. From that pure consciousness, which is homogeneous, which has no divisions, which has no above or below, high or low, that from that pure consciousness there arises a certain factor which you and I use called buddhi. Buddhi, the intellect, jnanam, whatever the intellect brings to us, knowledge. Asammohaha, there are times when we have no confusion. Thank God. We are very clear what we must do, what we must not, and let the whole world criticize us for whatever we chose to do. We are very clear. This is as per my values, and my values are as per reliable, authentic, and noble, virtuous sources. The great scriptures and the great teachers who are utterly selfless, who are most broad minded, who want the happiness of all living beings on the earth. They have given me these values, and I am operating through such values. One is very clear that utter clarity is called asammoha. Then you have fourth one, kshama, the tendency, the nature to forgive, to bear with difficulties that others cause to us, but bear with them all and then not have any negative feeling about those people. Shama. Therefore, Shama sometimes is translated as forgiveness, some other time as forbearance. You are bearing with something. You are putting up with something. You are tolerating something. You are accepting something without anger or some destructive emotions rising in you. Damashamaha, the fifth, sixth, Satyam in between. The three were Buddhi, Jnana, and Asamoha. Fourth was Shama. Fifth is Satyam. Satyam is truthfulness. If only we hold on to Satyam, truthfulness, there would be no problem in our life. But in our foolishness, we compromise with Satyam. To compromise with Satyam is like playing with fire. We invariably get burnt here and there. We disfigure ourselves. And once we are thus disfigured, more actions from us also come out with error, with confusion, with some hurt and some harm to fellow beings. Satyam is the paramount importance. This Satyam, you and I are at times very truthful, very honest, brave, courageous, and that quality of Satyam comes from God, by God's grace. Damaha, control of sense organs. Shamaha, control of the emotional mind. Sukham, dukkham, happiness at times and sorrow at others. Bhavaha, abhavaha, certain things are, we notice their existence. When those things vanish, we notice again their non-existence. Bhayam cha, abhayameva cha. Who can deny? At times we are afraid, at other times we are fearless. Bhayam, abhayam all of them, the next sloka at the end says, Mattaha eva. All of them come from me. What more? After 13 factors in the fourth verse, the fifth verse says, Ahimsa. Many a time we are so non-violent. We act with no hatred towards anybody. Ahimsa is more value on the plane of the mind, marked by no personal hatred. Otherwise, physically, sometimes certain injurious actions may have to be done. Pujya Swami Chinmayananji, in his very introductory book that youngsters also may pick up and read, Manual of Self-Unfoldment, says, Ahimsa is on the plane of the mind. Sorry. Swami Chinmayananji would say, Satya, Ahimsa and Brahmacharya. There's a nice piece of article by him in those introductory books. He says, Satya is intellectual honesty. Therefore, it's at the level of the buddhi, whereas Brahmacharya is on the level of the sense organs. In between is Ahimsa. It's on the emotional plane. A surgeon may perform a surgery. First of all, he may have to amputate even a limb, but he has absolutely nothing against the patient. On the contrary, the surgeon helps the patient get better, get well. So, ahimsa is a very noble value. Non-violence, non-injury has to be appreciated deeply, very well. And ahimsa is among the three, Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, the cardinal values. And on so many occasions, we are blessed with true, pure form of ahimsa. Samatha, being equal towards all. Here also, every value first appears very simple and straight, but there is so much to understand. Samatha, equality. If there is a letter in Oriya to be read, and there are a few of your students, let us say, you can't treat all of them equally. Now, one of you come and read. You will ask the student who knows Oriya to read that Oriya letter. Where did equality go? You should have been equal. You should have asked a Tamilian to read that Oriya letter. Next day, Tamil letter comes. You ask a Bengali, please read this Tamil letter. The Bengali educated gentleman cannot read Tamil. The Tamil educated lady cannot read Oriya, right? So in skills, in temperaments, in terms of suitability to certain jobs, all of us have so much differences. Sometimes we see somebody cannot do a certain job, and next day we find that person can do a certain job which we cannot do. So it's not a question of high or low. It's not a question so much of good and bad. On many occasions, it is the equality is to be regarded as why personally we have no inequality. We treat all equally. But as regards the job to be done, the role to be played, we welcome, we assign work to different people, and that honesty should be in us also. We may think of ourselves as good people, but that doesn't mean that because I am good, I'll do everything. There are certain things, though we are good, we cannot do. Therefore, not with any negative or prejudiced opinion, but on an objective outlook, with a certain objectivity, as we say, we humbly admit, sorry, that I cannot do. Will you please ask this friend of mine? She will get it done, and so on. So, samatha is a much debated topic. Sri Krishna says, when you and I have that sense of samatha, samatva. Of course, samatva can also mean, in some contexts, remaining equal in pain and pleasure, success and failure, etc. So, when Sometimes we are praised and some other times we are criticized if we keep certain equanimity. Samatvam yoga uchyate, that came in the second chapter. So both ways, how we treat people, people above us, people below us, people who are equal to us, our colleagues maybe, and in terms of how we handle opposite kinds of you things that happen to us. That's also samatha. Then tushtihi, tapaha, danam, yashaha, ayashaha. Tushtihi, contentment. Tapaha, austerities. Danam, charity. And you have a pair, yasha, success, and ayasha, failure. Or yasha can mean fame, and ayasha means bad name. There are times when we are highly adored and admired in the society or in our circles. People stand up when we walk into the hall. But then there are other times in life when, for right or wrong reasons, people don't care. You come into the hall and you address them, friends, I have come. Nobody even takes notice of us. So that is ayasha. You never know. Some of the very, very famous movies in the past or in the present also would have a hero of the movie go to heights of fame and name and later on fall into such disgrace, such neglect by everyone. I believe what comes to my mind is in the 70s or etc., 60s, 70s, there was a hero, Guru Dutt. So Pyasa, Kagaj Ka Phool, etc. he made. And typically in those it's like that. There is a time when the hero is, oh my, everybody rushes to him those days for autograph and for a photograph with him and so on. Celebrity. And afterwards, he becomes a beggar. The hero of the movie is a beggar, doesn't know where the next meal would come from. He even joins a line of beggars to whom some rich people are feeding. They are giving free food. He also sits with one towel covering his face because he is afraid somebody may recognize, oh my God, this famous film director in the movie, one of them, I don't remember which film director was become very famous. Now, he is sitting here with beggars, so he doesn't want, but in spite of it, he gets caught. That's a different story. But yashaha, ayashaha. But when our heart is with God, when we have surrendered to God, we take yashaha and ayashaha both equally. Because it is all a play by God. It is all like Shakespeare writes a play. He makes somebody a hero, somebody a villain, somebody a comedian, a joker, and all that. So the roles are assigned. God is the great playwright of this play called life. And in our life, for some years, we might be, by God's will, made to play the role of a famous, popular hero. And some other time, again by the will of writer, the playwright has written that. Kalidasa, Basa Bharavi, Bana, and all of them wrote great works. And they too, they make someone a hero of their movie, someone else a villain, someone else the most unfortunate one. And the readers of those plays, those great literary works, have tears in their eyes. When they read about the heroes, when they read about villains, when they read about people who suffer, in descriptions of joyous occasions, they have tears of joy. In descriptions of very sad scenarios, the readers have tears of sorrow. Both are highly valued. Therefore, yashaha, ayashaha, all these 20 factors, bhavanti bhavaha bhutana. You and I are bhutani. We are living beings. Bhuta Shabda sometimes can mean Panchabhuta, that is Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, and Prithvi, space, air, fire, water, and earth. But some other time, Bhuta can mean living beings, animals, plants, and birds, human beings, and so on. Bhutanam ete bhavaha bhavanti. But the one word to be highlighted in both these verses is mattaha. They arise from me. Mattaha bhavanti. Pratagvidaha, though they are so diverse, though they look so different, they come from me. They rise in me and then they subside in me. Adi Shankara also adds some valuable you additional dimensions to this. Buddhihi, the first of the 20, Antakaranasya, Sukshma Adi Artha Avabodhana Samarthyam. In our Antakarana, I said Antakarana itself is Buddhi, but Bhashyakara says in the Antakarana, there is a capacity to recognize very subtly what is good, what is bad, what is what, to determine the nature of things. Tadvantam buddhiman iti vadam. When somebody has that capacity to distinguish, discern between things that are having a subtle difference, somebody who doesn't have much intelligence cannot recognize that. Those who recognize what is good and separate it from what is bad is buddhiman. Jnanam atmadi padarthanam avabodha. Again, Adi Shankara takes jnanam, knowledge, on a higher plane. Atmadi padarthanam avabodha. Avabodha is understanding, good understanding of what is Atma, what is Anatma, and so on. Shama is akrustasya taditasya va avikrita chittata. Somebody is so angry with us, yells and shouts at us. Their akrosha has us as the target. Or not only that, somebody may come and beat us. Tadita. We become beaten. We get beaten. Avikrita chittatvam. Avikrita chittata. So in spite of all that pain, that injury, that ill treatment, our mind suppose has no vikara, that is kshama, which then makes us forgive them too. Today is Christmas and often Jesus Christ is quoted. Forgive them, O Lord, they know not what they are doing. In spite of their crucifying him, they are making him suffer so much. Viveka, oh, before that, I think I skipped one. Asammoha, that's also a beautiful definition. Asammoha pratyutpanneshu bodhavyeshu vivekapurvika pravritti. Many things rise and we are called upon to know them. What is this? What is this? What is this? Behavior of people or some material earnings or losses. We lost some money here, we won some money there. And some people suddenly came to honor us. Next day we come to know some others are coming to take us to task. Pratyutpanna, things happen on a daily basis. We never know when the day begins how the day will be through the many hours. But if we have Viveka Purvika Pravritti, we have Viveka, the ability to distinguish, and we thus discern and get going. Then Kshama was described, Satyam yata drishtyasya yata shrutasya cha atmanubhavasya parabuddhi sankrantaye tathaiva uccharyamana vak satyam uchyate. Bhashyakara takes it in the context of speech. So, you saw something, yata drishta. You heard something, yata shruta. You saw, you heard, and you understood what it is. Then, now you have to report to somebody. Parabuddhi sankranti. You have to communicate it to another person. And uccharyamana. You say things. And there, tathaiva. The word to be highlighted is tathaiva. If you saw a black cow, you go and say, I saw a black cow. You do not mince words, you do not make it confusing to them. I saw a cow and some kind of color, What do you mean, some kind of color? Oh, what shall I say? You make faces, but you are hiding. It was a black cow, and then there was a white cow too. So describe. So this ability to say what you saw, what you heard, with no distortion is a mighty challenge in real life. Most people tell so many lies. Therefore, it was written on the grave of a politician who said a lot of lies during his life. Here lies the politician as usual. One on the word, here lies the politician as usual. All his life he lied. Now here he lies under this grave. So, Satyam, Damaha, Bahendriya Upashamaha, Shamaha, Antakaranasya Upashama. Dama is self-control on this plane of outer sense organs, and Shama is control, self-control on the plane of emotions, sentiments, and so on. Sukham Ahradaha, certain elation, you feel happy, you feel elated. Dukkham Santapaha, crying, weeping, or feeling very low, feeling miserable. Bhavaha, Udbhavaha, coming into being. Abhavaha, tad viparyaya. The opposite, not coming into being, or not being seen at all. Bhayancha, abhayancha. Bhaya, one synonym in Sanskrit for bhaya is trasaha. Trasaha, and then abhayam, tad viparitam, being fearless, of course. So, abhaya is being fearless. So 20 factors, I call them factors because some of them are values, some of them are states of mind, some of them are acts. So you have buddhihi, dhanam, asammoha, did I skip dhanam, jnanam, atmadi, sammoha, jnanam, asammoha. These are all in verse 4. Yes, dhanam and others are coming in the verse 5. That Shankara explains, and yes, it's in another paragraph in my book. So the fifth verse talks of the remaining 7 in the list of 20. Ahimsa, apida. Pida means troubling others, and apida pranina. Samata, samachittata, tushtihi, santoshaha, paryapta buddhihi labheshu. Whatever we have got, labha, paryapta buddhi, we are happy. We have got this much, we are happy. Certain contentment. Tapaha, this is nice. Tapaha is indriya sanyama purvakam sharira pidanam. You actually are uncomfortable, not getting some particular delicious food, not getting some particular, blanket or particular kind of room or bathroom or particular kind of physical comfort when you go someplace and you say, All right. Or you go to some cave, or you go to some ashram to do tapas. And over there, unlike your own house, which you have carefully arranged, some facilities are not available. Then you say, all right, I'm not going to waste my time and energy about it. Sharira Pedanam. Let my body suffer a little, but I have come here for some japa, for some intense meditation. I'll not waste time setting up this room given by the ashram to me in the way I like. I adjust. That requires Indriya Sanyama, right? So, Indriya Sanyama Purvakam Sharira Pedanam. Dhanam Yata Shakti Samvibhaga, sharing what you have as per capacity. Yashaha Dharma Nimitta Kirti. Ayashaha Adharma Nimitta Akirti. Shankaracharya doesn't give the interpretation like I ventured or took the liberty to say. You are very popular for right or wrong reasons, I said. You are not popular for right or wrong reasons, your bad luck maybe and so on. But Acharya Shankara is very traditional. He says, whenever you become infamous, it has some karma of yours behind it. Whenever you have become famous, popular, people love you, people adore you, people invite you everywhere, people honor you. Oh dear, it's not an accident. It's not in the recent past. Somewhere earlier in his life, in your life, or even in a previous life, somewhere you have done punya karma. Therefore, dharma nimitta kirtihi bhavati, adharma nimitta akirtihi. How nice. So a great sense of dharma prajna. We have to live rightly. We should not play with moral values. That sense of dharma prajna arises. So not only the shlokas of the Gita, but commentaries by Shankaracharya are a great source of guidance. Our moral compass they are. The moral compass helps us again correct our direction of movement. Vattah eva ishvarat pratagvidaha nanavidaha swakarma anurupena swakarma as per our karma. So in this way, Bhagavan Sri Krishna calls himself the source of everything that happens internally in us and externally also. Pause here for this session. Next Wednesday morning in India and Tuesday evening in the West, we will not be able to have the class because on that day, which is in India, 1st January morning, 31st evening in the West, I will have to take a flight to come back to Bombay from Kerala, going tomorrow to Anand Ashram of the renowned Papa Ramdas in Kanjangad, almost northern tip of Kerala. There is this great ashram. I believe it was started in 1930. So much known, much renowned for its atmosphere of service, bhakti, and vijnana also. Not so much of scriptural study, but the great legacy of Papa Ramdas. He studied there. He was an illumined man. He, his successor Krishnabai, and then Sachidananda, now Muktananda, have been running this ashram. Papa Ramdas ran it initially. So next class, Wednesday morning in India, we will not be having, but the following Wednesday, 8th January morning or 7th January evening in the West, will surely come back to the class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.